Awami League nominates 48 candidates for reserved women's seats in 12th Parliament, list of which to be submitted to Election Commission on February 18. A women renaissance has occurred in the country. There is no scope to ignore women, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Prime Minister to leave Dhaka for Germany tomorrow on a 3-day official visit to attend Munich Security Conference. SSC and its equivalent exams to begin tomorrow. More than 20 lakh students to participate in exams this year. 330 members of Myanmar forces and others who took shelter in Bangladesh amid ongoing conflict in Myanmar will be repatriated tomorrow. Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto claims victory in Indonesia's presidential election after unofficial figures showed him well ahead of other opponents. Fortune Borishal beat Durtanto Dhaka by 27 runs in BPL cricket in Chattogram. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to News at 10 on BTV and BTV World. I am Roya Zabin. You have just heard the headlines. Now news in details.
স্বাধীন দেশে রক্ত দিয়ে স্বাধীনতা এনেছি, এই স্বাধীনতা নিশ্চয়ই ইনশাআল্লাহ থাকবে, কেউ ধ্বংস করতে পারবে না। তবে স্বাধীনতা পিতা হয়ে যাবে যে বাংলার দুঃখী মানুষের মুখে হাসি ফুটাতে না পারো। সেই জন্য তোমাদের কাছে আমার আবেদন রইল, সৎপথে থেকো, খোদা নিশ্চয়ই তোমাদের সাহায্য করবে।
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said a renaissance of women has occurred through their successful participation in every sector of Bangladesh. There is no scope to ignore women as they are now advancing in every sector up to the rural level, she said, while addressing her party's nomination aspirants for the women's reserved seats in the parliament at Ganobhavan this morning. The application of around 1,553 women for 48 reserved seats in the parliament has proved a renaissance in women development in Bangladesh, the Premier said. She said it really seemed difficult for them to find out 48 women among several hundred aspirants for the reserved seats. In this perspective, the Awami League president called for not being frustrated if someone is not nominated, rather asked all to work for the country and its people with motherly affection.
এই সমাজটা যখন আমাকে টেনে তুলতে হবে তখন সকলকে নিয়েই চলতে হবে, কাউকে অবহেলা করে না, এটা কিন্তু আমাদের মাথায় রাখতে হবে। আর মেয়েরা তো মোটেই অবহেলা করতে পারবে না, কারণ আমরা তো মায়ের জাতি। মায়ের আন্তরিকতা দিয়ে, মায়ের ভালোবাসা দিয়ে, মায়ের দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি দিয়ে যদি আমরা সমাজের দিকে তাকাই, ঠিক মায়ের মমতা দিয়েই যেন এই দেশটাকে গড়ে তোলা, সেইভাবে আমি চিন্তা করি। কাজে আমি চাই আমাদের বোনেরাও সেইভাবেই নিজেকে গড়ে তুলবে, মানুষের প্রতি সহানুভূতিশীল হওয়া, মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ানো, মানুষের সেবা করা। তার মধ্যে থেকে কিন্তু আরো ভালো নেতৃত্ব গড়ে ওঠা যায়। কাজে ওই আন্তরিকতা, ওই দরদটা না থাকলে শুধু আমি নিজে কি পেলাম সেই চিন্তা করলে কিন্তু কখনো নিজেও উঠতে পারবে না বা কাউকে টেনে তুলতেও পারবে না। সেই কথাটা কিন্তু সকলকে মনে রাখতে হবে। আজকে দেখি আমার অনেকেই প্রথমে নির্বাচন ঠেকাবে, তার নির্বাচন ঠেকাতে পারেনি। তাদের প্রভুরাও আছে, তাদেরও চেষ্টা ছিল, কিন্তু তারা সেটা পারেনি, কারণ বাংলাদেশের জনগণই আমাদের শক্তি। আর সেই শক্তি বলে আমরা নির্বাচন, বরং ৭৫ সালের পর বাংলাদেশের যতগুলি নির্বাচন হয়েছে সব থেকে অবাধ সুষ্ঠু নির্বাচন এবারে হয়েছে। এখনো শুনি সরকার নাকি উৎখাত করে ফেলবে, আমাদের পায়ের নিচে নাকি মাটি নেই। তো যারা পায়ের নিচে মাটি খোঁজে তাদের পায়ের নিচে মাটি আছে কিনা এটাই সন্দেহ। আমরা কখনো প্রতিহিংসা রাজনীতি করি না। বাংলাদেশের মানুষকে একটা সুন্দর জীবন উপহার দিয়েই ওদের অপকর্মের জবাব আমরা দিয়ে থাকি, আর সেটাই কিন্তু আমরা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি।
Awami League announced the names of 48 candidates for reserved women's seats in the 12th National Parliament. The final nomination was approved during the meeting of Awami League's Parliamentary Nomination Board at Ganobhavan in Dhaka today. Awami League President and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina presided over the meeting. A total of 1,549 candidates bought Awami League's nomination form for reserved seats in the 12th National Parliament. Meanwhile, Awami League General Secretary Obaidul Qadir announced the names of 48 candidates after the meeting of the party's Parliamentary Nomination Board.
সর্বসম্মতিক্রমে 48টি সংরক্ষিত মহিলা আসনে বাংলাদেশ আওয়ামী লীগের মনোনীত প্রার্থী আগামী 18 ফেব্রুয়ারি নির্বাচন কমিশনে রিটার্নিং অফিসারের কাছে মনোনয়নপত্র জমা দেওয়া হবে আওয়ামী লীগের পক্ষ থেকে, এবং প্রত্যেকেই মনোনয়নপত্র আমাদের পার্টি দপ্তরে এসে পার্টি অফিসে তাদেরকে প্রয়োজনীয় কাগজপত্র সংগ্রহ করতে বলা হচ্ছে।
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina told Parliament that inflation will be eased soon as the government has taken various measures for it. Inflation will come under control soon due to the reduction of prices of fuel, food products and fertilizers in the global market, as well as adjustment of fuel prices and government initiatives to normalize the food supply situation, she said. The Premier said this in written reply during her scheduled question-answer session in the Parliament this afternoon. Sheikh Hasina, also leader of the House, mentioned that Bangladesh is experiencing various economic setbacks for adverse impact on the global economy due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and consequent sanctions that started after global COVID-19 pandemic. She added that her government is currently continuing all kinds of activities to keep the prices of consumer goods normal. Meanwhile, Education Minister Mohibul Hassan Chaudhry Naufal told the House that the government has nationalized a total of 828 educational institutions during the last 15 years since 2009. The nationalized educational institutions include 54 schools and colleges, 374 colleges, 374 schools, and 49 technical institutes. Replying to a question, Social Welfare Minister Dr. Deepu Moni told the Parliament that 17,710 beggars have so far been rehabilitated in 64 districts of the country. Later, a general discussion was held on Thanksgiving motion on President's speech. Participation in the discussion, the lawmakers said that the overall development picture of the country has been reflected through the President's speech. The House will resume in the afternoon tomorrow. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina leaves Dhaka for Germany tomorrow to attend the annual conference on international security policy. The Munich Security Conference will be held from February 16 to 18 in Munich, Germany. The Premier is visiting Germany at the invitation of President of the conference, Dr. Christoph Heiken. Foreign Minister and Awami League Joint General Secretary Dr. Hassan Mahmud disclosed the details of the visit at a press conference at the Foreign Ministry today. He said 60 heads of state and government, top representatives of international organizations, media, civil society, public and private sectors will participate in the conference. Dr. Hassan Mahmud said the Prime Minister is scheduled to return to Dhaka on February 19, ending the 4-day official visit.
আগামী 16 থেকে 18 ফেব্রুয়ারি জার্মানির মিউনিকে মিউনিক সিকিউরিটি কনফারেন্সের 60তম আয়োজন অনুষ্ঠিত হতে যাচ্ছে। মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী আগামীকাল সকাল রওনা দিবেন এবং 18 ফেব্রুয়ারি পর্যন্ত সেখানে অবস্থান করবেন। জার্মানি বিশ্বে বাংলাদেশের দ্বিতীয় বৃহত্তম এবং ইউরোপের সর্ববৃহত্তম রপ্তানি বাজার আমাদের। এছাড়াও জার্মানি বাংলাদেশের অন্যতম উন্নয়ন সহযোগী দেশ। রোহিঙ্গা সমস্যার মোকাবেলায় জার্মানি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ রাজনৈতিক এবং মানবিক সহায়তা প্রদান করে যাচ্ছে। এমত অবস্থায় এই আয়োজনে অংশগ্রহণের মাধ্যমে ইউরোপীয় নেতৃবৃন্দের পাশাপাশি জার্মান নেতৃবৃন্দের সাথেও দ্বিপাক্ষিক বৈঠক অনুষ্ঠিত হবে। মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী এই সফরকালে মিউনিক সিকিউরিটি কনফারেন্সের উদ্বোধনী আয়োজনে অংশগ্রহণ করবেন এবং ক্লাইমেট ফাইন্যান্স সংক্রান্ত একটি উচ্চ পর্যায়ের প্যানেল আলোচনায় অংশগ্রহণ করবে। মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী আসন্ন জার্মানি সফর অত্যন্ত সফল এবং ফলপ্রসূ হবে বলে আমরা আশা করি।
The SSC and its equivalent exams for 2024 will start tomorrow. The SSC exams will begin at 10 in the morning through Bangla first part and continue till 1 p.m. This year, as many as 20,24,192 students under 11 educational boards will take part in the exams. There are 3,700 centers across the country. Meanwhile, in order to check question paper leakage and holding the exams smoothly, all coaching centers in the country were announced to shut till March 12. During the exam hours, teachers, students and employees can't use electronic devices, including mobile phones, within 200 meters of the centers. Instant legal measures will be taken against violators of the order. As per routine of the educational boards, the exams will end on March 12 and practical exams will be held between March 13 and 20. Earlier, an international seminar titled Economic Diversification and Global Markets, Bangladesh's Opportunities and Way of Transition was held at BIISS Auditorium in the morning. Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood was present as the chief guest. BISS Chairman AFM Gausul Azam Sharkar presided over the seminar. Member of Parliament and former Chief Coordinator of SDG SMD Abul Kalam Azad, Foreign Secretary Masood bin Momen, ambassadors of different countries, senior officials of the ministry and economists also spoke on the occasion. The Foreign Minister said Bangladesh has made tremendous progress during the last 15 years under the magical leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, despite challenges on various fronts, including the negative impact of climate change. The Foreign Minister put emphasis on boosting export of ready-made garments, pharmaceuticals, plastic, leather, jute goods, shipbuilding, skilled manpower and agricultural products to accelerate the country's economy. Japanese Ambassador to Dhaka Iwama Kiminori paid a courtesy call on Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Mentioning the valuable contribution of Japan to the development of Bangladesh, the Foreign Minister said government of Sheikh Hasina wants to further strengthen its collaboration with Japan. The Japanese ambassador said the first plant of Matarbari power station was completed with the assistance of his country. At the same time, he also said construction of the second plant will be completed by the end of this year. Japanese Ambassador Iwama Kiminori also hoped that Chattogram to Matabari Highway project will be completed in time. Later, Iwama Kiminori handed over the letter of Japanese Foreign Minister Kamikawa Yoko to Dr. Hassan Mahmood, congratulating the Foreign Minister. State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Muhammad Ali Arafat echoed the demands of the employees of broadcasting media to introduce specific guidelines for all kinds of social media, including Facebook and YouTube, alongside ensuring accountability. He was addressing a view exchange meeting with leaders of Broadcast Journalist Center at the Information and Broadcasting Ministry today. Chairman of the Broadcast Journalist Center Rizwanul Haq, Member Secretary Shakil Ahmed, Senior Journalist Syed Ishtiaq Reza and other leaders of the organization placed a 10-point demand to protect freedom of the mass media and its employees. Responding to the demands of mass media employees, the State Minister for Information and Broadcasting said no employees of the mass media or broadcasting media can be terminated without prior notices. The government will soon introduce guidelines in this regard, he added.
তারা এই দাবিটা করেছে, আমরা শুধু একমত পোষণ করছি যে কোনো গণমাধ্যম কর্মীকে কোনো প্রতিষ্ঠান, যেহেতু এটা প্রাইভেট সেক্টর, এই শর্ট নোটিসে মন চাইলো আজকে এটা করতে পারবে না, অ্যাটলিস্ট 3 মাসের নোটিশ দিতে হবে। এবং ভাইস ভার্সা, কোন গণমাধ্যম কর্মীও যদি মনে করেন, সেও তার মালিক পক্ষকে 3 মাসের নোটিশ দিবেন। সেটা 3 মাসও হতে পারে, 2 মাসও হতে পারে, সেটা আমরা আলোচনা করে নিতে পারি দুই পক্ষের সাথে। কিন্তু এই সিদ্ধান্ত আমরা নিলাম যে মন চাইলো হুট করে চাকরিচ্যুত হওয়া বা মন চাইলো আপনি চাকরি ছেড়ে দেন, দুই পক্ষে আমি বলছি এটা হতে পারে না। প্যাকেজের মাধ্যমে সেল করা হচ্ছে ক্লিন ফিট ছাড়া, এবং সেটা নিয়ে কেবল অপারেটরসরাও কিন্তু প্রশ্ন তুলেছে। কাজে এটা কিন্তু অ্যাবসলিউটলি ইলিগাল। এটা নিয়ে আমি বলেছি যে আমরা অফিশিয়ালি এটা নিয়ে আমরা একটা ব্যবস্থা নিব, এটা আমরা করতে দিব না এবং আইনি অ্যাকশন হবে।
State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Mohammad Ali Arafat has urged all concerned to work together to ensure the welfare of journalists and media freedom in light of the free media policy framed by Father of the Nation Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman to build a smart Bangladesh under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The State Minister was speaking at a discussion marking the 50th founding anniversary of Bangladesh Press Council at Information Bhavan in the capital today. Press Council Chairman Justice Mohammad Nizamul Haq Nasim presided over the discussion, while DFP Director General S.M. Golam Kipriya and Press Council Secretary Shamul Chandra Kormakar took part in the discussion. The State Minister for Information and Broadcasting said the government will take necessary steps to make the existing Press Council Act up to date alongside increasing the manpower of the Press Council. "333 members of Myanmar Border Guard Police (BGP) and other forces who have taken shelter in Bangladesh amid conflict between Myanmar military and armed rebel group will be sent back to their country by a ship tomorrow. Under the supervision of Border Guard Bangladesh (BGB), Myanmar nationals, including members of Border Guard Police (BGP), will be handed over to the authorities of Myanmar at 8 a.m. through Naval Jetty Card in Inani of Cox's Bazar district. A tense situation has been prevailing along the border between Bandarban's Naikhongchori, Kumdum and Tumru amid fierce fighting, skirmishes and gunfire between the armed forces of the military ruler and rebel groups inside Myanmar for over 2 weeks. Amid the conflict, 330 members of Myanmar Army, Border Guards, Police, Immigration and other officials took refuge recently in Bangladesh. The festival-loving people of the country have been celebrating Pohila Falgun, the first day of spring in the Bengali calendar, and Valentine's Day with colorful attire, flowers and songs. Falgun is the 11th month in the Bengali calendar and the first month of the season, spring. Pleasant sunshine, blooming flowers and chirping birds make spring the king of all the 6 seasons under Bengali calendar. Bokultola of Charukola, the premises of the Faculty of Fine Arts of Dhaka University, has become the center of Falgun celebration in the capital as thousands of people gathered there this morning on the occasion of Pohila Falgun. The tradition of celebrating the Pohila Falgun in Bangladesh started in the Bengali calendar year 1401. Since then, the Jatiyo Bosonto Utsav Udjapon Porishod has been celebrating Pohila Falgun regularly with jovial cultural festivity at the Bokultola of Charukola in the morning. Different organizations, including the Bangladesh Shilpokola Academy (BSA) and many other cultural organizations and institutions, have been celebrating February 14 this year with multiple programs. Saraswati Puja, worshipping the goddess of knowledge, music, art and culture, is being celebrated by the Hindu community across the country today amid much enthusiasm, festivity and religious fervor. During Saraswati Puja, Hindus worship the goddess Saraswati to mark the coming of spring. According to the Hindu faith, the goddess Saraswati represents power, creativity and inspiration and presents herself when the weather is pleasant and nature is in its full grandeur. Saraswati Puja was held at various educational institutions, houses and puja mandaps across the country. Saraswati Puja was arranged at Thakeshwari National Temple by the Sarvajanin Puja Committee. The most gorgeous Saraswati Puja was arranged on the premises of Jagannath Hall of Dhaka University. President Mohammad Shahabuddin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina greeted the Hindu community on the occasion of Saraswati Puja. Welcome back to News at 10, and we move on to international news. Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto claims victory in Indonesia's presidential election after unofficial figures showed him well ahead of opponents Anies Baswedan and Ganjar Pranowo. Turnout in the race to succeed President Joko Widodo, also known as Jokowi, who is serving the last of his 2 terms in office, appears high. Heavy rain and flooding caused some problems on the morning of election day, particularly in Jakarta and Java, but did not seem to dampen voters' enthusiasm. More than 200 million people registered to vote across the archipelago in one of the world's biggest and most complex elections. Nawaz Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto's parties in Pakistan have reached a deal to form a government. Mr. Bhutto's PPP said it would help Mr. Sharif's PMLN elect a prime minister after last week's election. The 2 parties were previously in a coalition that ousted Imran Khan from power in 2022. This time, independent candidates backed by his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI party unexpectedly won the most seats. PPP leader Asif Ali Zardari told a press conference that although his party and PMLN has contested elections against each other, they had come together in the interests of the nation. The PMLN said in a statement that both parties had agreed to cooperate in the interests of political stability. The results, in which independents backed by the PTI took 93 out of the 266 directly elected seats, had left voters uncertain about which parties would form the next government. Mr. Sharif's PMLN won 75 seats, while Mr. Bhutto's PPP came third with 54 seats. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan made his first visit to Egypt since 2012 on Wednesday to meet President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, taking a big step toward rebuilding relations between the regional powers. Erdogan has said discussions would focus on Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip. Other issues to be discussed include the economy, trade, tourism, energy and defense. El-Sisi said Egypt sought to raise trade volume with Turkey to $15 billion over the next few years. El-Sisi accepted an invitation to Turkey from Erdogan, who said the visit would be a new turning point in bilateral relations. The leaders, whose relations frayed over Egypt's 2013 military coup and its fallout for the Muslim Brotherhood, planned to hold a joint press conference later. A top UN official has warned an Israeli assault on Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, could lead to a slaughter. Humanitarian Chief Martin Griffiths said Palestinians in Gaza were already suffering an assault that is unparalleled in its intensity, brutality and scope. The consequences of an invasion of Rafah would be catastrophic, he said. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to defeat Hamas gunmen he says are hiding in the city. In an unusually strongly worded statement, Mr. Griffiths said over 1 million people were crammed in Rafah, staring death in the face. He said civilians in the city had little food or access to medicine and nowhere safe to go. An Israeli invasion of the city, he added, would leave an already fragile humanitarian operation at death's door. A spokesperson for the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the UN had not received any Rafah evacuation plans from Israel and would not participate in any forced evacuation. Egyptian ambassador in Dhaka, Omar Mohi Eldin Ahmed Fahmy, paid a courtesy call on Agriculture Minister Mohammad Abdus Shahid at his office in the capital today. During the meeting, they discussed increasing mutual cooperation in the agriculture sector, strengthening agricultural research and technology exchange. Seeking Bangladesh's cooperation to resume jute cultivation in Egypt, the Egyptian ambassador said his country needs Bangladesh's cooperation on good jute seeds and technical issues. Mentioning that Egypt's proposal is under process, the agriculture minister said a joint working group will be formed in this regard. Later, Canadian ambassador in Dhaka, Lily Nichols, paid a courtesy call on Agriculture Minister Mohammad Abdul Shahid. During the meeting, the Agriculture Minister requested Canada to import mango, jackfruit and vegetables from Bangladesh. Ambassador Lily Nichols expressed her interest to make Bangladesh's agriculture more export-oriented and to import mango and pineapple juice to Canada through agro-processing. A delegation led by French Ambassador for Climate Change Negotiations Stephanie Cruzat paid a courtesy call on State Minister for Disaster Management and Relief Mohammad Mohibur Rahman at his Secretariat office today. During the meeting, they discussed humanitarian activities of the Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar and Bhashanchar. The State Minister put emphasis on the repatriation of the forcibly displaced Rohingyas of Myanmar to their homeland. French Ambassador to Bangladesh, Marie Mastupé, Economic Advisor of the French Embassy, Julien Dior, and members of the French Development Agency, AFD, were present. Later, European Union Ambassador to Bangladesh, Charles Whiteley, paid a courtesy call on State Minister for Disaster Management and Relief, Mohammad Mohibur Rahman. During the meeting, they discussed in detail the issues of food, drinking water, treatment, education and sanitation in the camps of the displaced Rohingyas of Myanmar in Cox's Bazar. Now some weather updates. Met Office in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow said rain or thunder showers is likely to occur at a few places over Rangpur, Rajshahi and Mymensingh divisions and at one or two places over Dhaka and Sylhet divisions and the regions of Joshore, Kushtia and Kumilla. Besides, weather may remain mainly dry with partly cloudy sky elsewhere over the country. Night temperature may rise by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius over the country. Day temperature may fall by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius over Rangpur and Rajshahi divisions and it may remain nearly unchanged elsewhere over the country, the Met Office said. Now news on sports. Fortune Borishal beat Durdanto Dhaka by 27 runs in the first match. To end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Awami League nominates 48 candidates for reserved women's seats in 12th Parliament, list of which to be submitted to Election Commission on February 18. A women renaissance has occurred in the country. There is no scope to ignore women, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Prime Minister to leave Dhaka for Germany tomorrow on a 3-day official visit to attend Munich Security Conference. SSC and its equivalent exams to begin tomorrow. More than 20 lakh students to participate in exams this year. 330 members of Myanmar forces and others who took shelter in Bangladesh amid ongoing conflict in Myanmar will be repatriated tomorrow. Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto claims victory in Indonesia's presidential election after unofficial figures showed him well ahead of other opponents. And Fortune Borishal beat Durdanto Dhaka by 27 runs in BPL cricket in Chattogram. That's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us. We invite you to watch our 11:30 Bangla news. Until then, Khodafis.